Views.
Right, guys, fed, watered, ready for the second half. And I'm very excited. I've obviously teed this up in the group as well and talked quite extensively about the chaps. Luke, I know you've seen them present before, were very complimentary earlier. That wasn't a lie, by the way. Look, bit of a backstory. Worked with Stephen Bartlett early on, now work with Simon Squibb, one of our former presenters in the boardroom. 4 million followers and over 1 billion views across multiple platforms. That alone means we've got to listen to the chap. So without further ado, we've got Jack and Callum, and they're going to talk about how to grow and monetize an audience online. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Dan. Hey guys, great to meet you all. I'm Jack, I'm CMO at our platform HelpBank. Callum is CCO. And yeah, great to meet you guys. I think it's really important what you're all doing, working, in the fitness space. Callum and I kind of self-development and fitness nerds as well, to an extent. Always thinking about bettering ourselves and stuff like that. So interested to hear later on more about what you guys do. But yeah, we're going to kind of share what we've learned over the past few years of content and growing an audience, stuff like that. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end, if that's all good.
Sweet. So thank you, Dan, for the intro. Again, what we're most proud of is working with Simon Squibb over the last 3 years or so, building his brand and the HelpBank brand. So like Dan said, we've built 4 million plus followers over the last 3 years cross-platform and culminating in 1 billion plus views.
So we have a platform called HelpBank. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's a place where people can go and get business help completely for free and they get rewarded for helping others. We launched that in April last year. We're currently at 120,000 active users on the site. And across both HelpBank and the Simon Squibb brand, we work with Adobe, we work with Pipedrive, we work with Amazon, Fiverr, GoDaddy, QuickBooks, a load of big brands, which basically kind of comes with the purpose that we have of helping people follow their dream and start their own business, and obviously the reach as well. So that's kind of where we got to so far.
Sweet. So let's kick off with why you should be making content. I think content is the best way for you to build brand and familiarity at mass and at scale. So it's kind of trite and it's kind of cliche, but people buy from people. If you can do that at mass, then you're going to be set off to succeed. And it's the best way to at first build something free, but ultimately build it into a sustainable machine to access reach.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a quick question. If you had a swimming pool and you wanted to get it cleaned, who would you think of to get it cleaned?
Pool guy.
There we go. Pool guy on TikTok, right? He literally just cleans pools, gets millions and millions of views on his content, and I'm sure there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe not thousands of people in the UK that do clean pools. You're going to go to him. That kind of is, just to me, a really good example of why he needs to be making content, especially in a competitive space like fitness. Obviously, I'm sure Dan's taught you all about niching down and stuff like that, but when people think of a certain area within fitness or even just fitness in a whole, if they're going to think of you guys because of the content you create, you're going to be the go-to for whatever it is that you sell and offer.
So I think it's important to think about why you want to make the content before you even start. I think what has really helped us succeed with Simon's brand is that it's bigger than just content, it's bigger than just marketing. There is an overarching purpose and mission behind it. And in Simon's case, that is helping people break out of the system and follow their dream and do what they love. And through that mission, I think that's part of the reason why we've been able to access millions of people or billions of people, is because it's much bigger than that. So I think this is something for you guys to think about too. Beyond marketing, beyond just revenue, think about what is a mission within fitness that you can devote yourself to and get people on board with, something that people are going to want to get on board with. It makes it so much more powerful.
Just a show of hands real quick. We're assuming you guys have heard of Simon because we're all about that brand. Have any of you guys not heard of Simon? Okay, so that's all right. That's
Get to know.
maybe 80%. I guess to just do maybe a really quick recap in case it's helpful. Simon is co-founder alongside us on the platform HelpBank, but he was homeless at 15. He was kicked out of home, lost his dad, and then was forced into entrepreneurship. Long story short, he then had a long, successful career out in Hong Kong, built a creative agency called Fluid, became one of the largest creative agencies in Asia, sold it to PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2016, and then he moved back to the UK and wanted to help his 15-year-old self and help people start a business for free. He kind of did social media casually for a couple of years, and then 2 years ago, Callum and I came on. We're working with Simon as a client to start with, but basically helping him scale that mission of helping people for free and with a purpose, stuff like that. And then, since then, we kind of helped him turn it into a business. And now You might have seen him on TikTok asking people, "What's your dream? Would you ever start a business of your own?" All that kind of stuff. That's what he's all about, and then therefore that's kind of what our company's kind of grown into. Just for some context there.
You always help people for free.
Yeah, so that's like our purpose. It's really important to us. Not something we'd recommend to everybody to do. Like, for example, if you're selling coaching, we're not saying help everyone for free. But for us, what's really important is that everyone gets access to help. Think about how, say, Facebook is free to everyone to use, but then they monetize through advertisers and stuff like that. This is kind of our model. Give help to everyone. We don't necessarily have a niche. We want everyone who wants help to be able to get it. And then we work with brands, we work with partners, and then we look to create massive content to have huge reach. So what our mission is to fix the education system, or try our best to do that, as well as give people the tools they need to start a business. So we kind of have no option than to go really broad. And for us, it doesn't make sense to charge people and limit how many people we can reach. We make money a load of other ways. And as you guys know, like some of the biggest brands in the world, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of these, they don't charge their users. They get money elsewhere. That's kind of the model that we're following. Slightly unconventional, but from a founder who's obviously exited for multi millions, and then built a team around it. It's an interesting model that we're building, if you like.
So how you're monetizing through brands?
Brands is one of the big ways for HelpBank, and particularly for the content. But then beyond that, we monetize through like the social media platforms themselves, ad space within the site, and then we have a long-term plan as well, which I won't go into, but like a token would underpin our HelpBank ecosystem and all of this stuff. But I won't go too much into that. But think of how these brands, like the social media networks, make money. That's kind of our business model.
Sweet. So in building out your content, I think a lot of people tend to rush into it, and I think it's important that we sort of build out an audience profile and think about who we actually want to make this content for before we go straight into it. So I think it's important to think about who is it you're actually trying to target, and maybe actually build that profile out in your head. So, what age are they? Where are they from? What's their income like? Things like this, so that you really know who you're targeting. Because if you're just putting content out into the ether and you're not actually thinking about this and strategizing this, then it's just not going to connect, because you're trying to hit too many points all at once. So what content should you make? In this talk, we're actually talking about specifically short form content, and there's a few reasons for that. First one being it's a lot more accessible than other platforms like long form platforms like YouTube, etc. It also has like the max potential for reach, accessible reach as well. So you can do a lot of this without too much kit, or without necessarily even a massive team. You can do it off your phone. Platforms like TikTok are built for this, right? So yeah, some platforms to distribute to. I think a lot of people are missing low-hanging fruit here when they're creating short-form content, because they're not distributing to all of the potential platforms. So there's 5 in particular that we're talking about. We're talking about TikTok, but then we're also talking about Instagram Reels. We're talking about YouTube Shorts. We're talking about Facebook Reels. Do not underestimate Facebook Reels, because that's popping off at the moment. And then also Snapchat, another one that people forget, but there's plenty of reach out there to access.
Yeah, basically what happened, like if you guys remember, TikTok came along a few years ago and just made social media even easier for everyone. You don't really have to follow people. You don't really have to go searching. You can just sit there mindlessly and scroll, right? And it's genius. They know, the algorithm knows us better than we know ourselves. Can be very toxic as well, but it works, right? So basically all the other platforms have then copied that, which actually makes our lives as content creators and your lives as business owners a lot easier, because you can now create like one piece of content, and where every platform has just copied TikTok, you can now put that everywhere, and the same rules apply.
And in building out a content machine, what you really want to do, you want to find your formula. You want to find your format that you can replicate over and over and over again to keep those views coming in and keep accessing that reach and creating a brand for yourself. So what we've done, our formula, is Simon's street content. A lot of you will have seen it, where he goes up to people in the street. He asks them, "What's your dream?" And I think how that came about, a lot of people, when they're trying to build out a format, they might sit in a room and they might brainstorm for hours and hours and hours. That's not the way to go about it with content. These platforms, they're ever evolving and they're ever changing. So you're going to have to be adaptable to that, and you're going to have to change things as you go. In building out a format, what you want to do is test things and keep testing. Try lots of different things. You might find that a certain video pops off more, or you might think, oh, there's something in this. So when we were doing this, I'm pretty sure Simon randomly went into a Pizza Express with his phone, went up to the guy and said, "What's your dream?" and the video did a lot better than the other stuff we were trying to do. We were trying to do studio videos and sit down stuff, and it just wasn't working. Simon's not great with scripts and stuff like that. What he's great at is thinking on his feet. So it just clicked at that point where we were like, okay, what we need to do, we need to do some real stuff, go into the street, and ask people about what their dream is. So I think name of the game here is just keep testing, testing, testing. You'll know, but just keep trying things. That's the way to find a format. It's not, you're not just going to brainstorm, come up with a magic idea. A lot of the time you'll stumble across it in the dark. Which is, yeah.
So on that, so from testing, is there like a set duration that you suggest testing something for before trying something new?
Set duration to test for. I think you'll know. I think you'll get a little bit tired. I think give it a good shot. Try a few times, and if it doesn't work, then maybe create. I want to say maybe like 10 videos in a certain format. And if it's just not happening, then you're going to have to change something. It might not even necessarily be changing the format completely. When we first did that video, or Simon did that video in Pizza Express, it did okay, but it wasn't millions of views like it is now. From there, we knew there was something in it, and we iterated and changed little things here and there. So we might have changed the hook slightly. And originally, he actually asked the guy, would you ever start a business of your own? And that hook's interesting, but over time, we actually switched that hook to what's your dream. It's a lot accessible to more people instead of just business focused people. So there's lots of little things that you might want to change. You might actually already have something there. So it's just about iterating.
I think what you could also do is test, say, like 5 different formats. If you just have a think, what's authentic to you and your purpose as well. You can try 5 different ones. Maybe you could try them all twice. And then if one, even if you're only getting like 200 views, say, on TikTok or most, which is kind of the standard that TikTok will show your video to, and then one gets 500 or 1,000, and if you like it as well, it's a bit of an inkling. Okay, maybe this one's the one to run with a little bit, and then you can kind of just build off that. And I guess in regard to like keeping it like authentic to you guys, if you just look at some examples in like your sort of industry, you've got someone like James Smith who's kind of funny and sarcastic, right? So he'll kind of play into that, talk on some trends, but give his sarcastic, funny take on it, and that works for him. But then you've got, say, someone like Sam Sulek, for example, who's like an ultra chilled, relaxed guy. It's kind of confusing why he's so big, but people love that, right? So he's just like, right, I'm just going to film on YouTube and just film my workout, be really authentic, and then clip it up for short form. And people resonate with that. And because it was really authentic to him, like you couldn't see that blowing up, but he liked it. It worked. And that's what the people resonated with. So just testing with those different things. And then I guess you've even got someone like Eddie Abu now. His thing is truth, right? He really wants to expose all the people, whether you agree with him or don't believe him. He believes in that. So then he's going to, that was easy for him because he knew exactly what he wanted to talk about. He just wanted to get his message out. So all he wanted to do was just talk to camera and say it. And then he says it with enough conviction and enough power that it works, right? So just play around with it.
So how to make a video? I think, first of all, I just want to rule some things out. So what kit do you need? A lot of the time, people think that they need to buy really expensive cameras and lenses and sound equipment and all that sort of thing. Like I said to you, TikTok is built for mobile. So just start off with your mobile, especially when you're testing these different formats.
Unless it's an Android.
Yeah, true. Yeah. When we were doing these studio videos with Simon, we instantly, straight out the gate, bought this really expensive teleprompter for like thousands of pounds. And we used it a handful of times and didn't ever use it again, just because that wasn't quite the right video, and that was a little mistake that we learned from. So I think keep it simple, try some things out. You'll find your voice, and then you can build a system and a structure and a team around it. How do you utilize a hook? So a hook is the first few seconds of a video. What you want to do, you really want to hook the viewer in, say something exciting or intriguing, and really capture their attention. So the application of that in Simon's case is what's your dream? But it's a little bit more subtle than that in that what we do this out in the street. So a lot of the time, the first couple of seconds is Simon walking up to someone or someone walking towards Simon, and then he straight out the gate asks him, what's your dream? It's that voyeuristic sense of like real stuff happening, and you know that something's going to happen with those two people walking together, and then the question, and then it's the unraveling of the story of this person's dream, what they want to do with their life, what's stopping them. So it's a little bit more subtle in that case, but I don't know if Jack, you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I guess a lot of content it is very very related to human psychology, right? It's people that are going to be watching your videos and how algorithms work. It's mystical in one way, but it's also pretty logical in another way. If people stay and watch and engage with your video, they're going to show it to more people. So you just kind of got to get people in that headspace of when they're scrolling mindlessly, you can capture their attention. And there's just so many ways to do that. Like Callum said, for us, it is that voyeuristic thing with Simon. For you, it might be a fact they don't know, or an incredible achievement you or one of your clients have had, or some big piece of news that you then want to talk on that other people might relate to, or something someone in your industry who everyone knows is doing, or a whole range of things, right? Just be mindful when you're creating content, is basically what Cam's saying. Within those first couple of seconds, if people aren't engaged, they are going to scroll. So the most interesting bit, whatever that is within the type of formula you're testing, get that in there within the first few seconds, give them a reason to stay.
Another question we get asked a lot is how long a video should be. Should it be 60 seconds? Should it be 90 seconds? In my opinion, and this is the wrong mindset to be thinking in, I think what you should be thinking about is how concise and how sort of packed is that video. It doesn't really matter how long a video is. It matters, is the audience watching all of the video and are they staying for the rest of the video? So the video could be 30 seconds, it could be 40 seconds, it could be 3 minutes. But if the audience is watching all the way through, then that video is going to perform better in the algorithm and on these platforms, and you're going to reach more people. So don't worry about how long it is, just worry about how good a video it is, how packed is it, how rich is it. And you know, if you're talking to camera, don't waffle too much, things like that. Another thing to think about when you're making these videos is what's in it for the audience. I think the brutal truth is audiences, they don't care as much as you do. A lot of people think that, you know, their content's amazing, but the audience is never going to care as much as you do. Similar to like how your employees are never going to care as much as you care because it's your business. You know, what is the value that you're bringing to the audience? You've got to think about what's actually in it for them. Audiences are inherently very selfish. So you really have to think about what value you're bringing to them in order to earn their attention, right? A breakthrough we had with Simon was this whole idea about edutainment. So like I said earlier, we started off with these sort of like educational sit-down studio videos, and they just didn't hit. And when our content really started to take off was when we understood this whole idea of edutainment. So what I mean by that is, if we think about like the average TikTok audience, think about that in your head visually for a second. Like, what do they look like? Chances are they're sat down on the sofa, they're slumped over in a hunch, and they're just brainlessly scrolling through the feed, right? So you got to think about, you know, what content do they actually want to watch? Do they really want to be educated in that moment? Probably not. They kind of just want to, you know, feel some chemicals in their brain and get that hit of dopamine and move on, right? So when we understood that, we started to shift our content, not about educating, but subtly educating them through entertainment. So that was when we pivoted to these street videos as well. It was another sort of piece of validation that helped us understand that this was the way to go for us, because we needed to entertain them first before we could get them on side to educate them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the main like psychology behind this really is like, by doing that, we were then casting our net wider of the people that we could reach. A lot of people, we want to help everyone start a business, right? Or everyone learn that they can if they want to. But a lot of people hadn't even thought that that was a possibility. So in Simon's case, Simon making just business videos, we're appealing to just business people, which is a decent audience. And sometimes that's not the worst thing to do if you're very clear on your niche, right? But especially when you're trying to make some content that kind of potentially goes viral and grows a larger audience for you. Like, you want to be casting your net that little bit wider. So by entertaining them first and then subtly educating them, that's what we managed to do. So like, we're not saying that you say always have to be entertaining and say don't educate at all. But the main psychological thing to think about is, okay, what I'm saying here, how can I make it more applicable to more people so that more people are interested and therefore can kind of enter my universe and eventually become an audience member, a follower, and then a customer of mine.
In building out your content strategy, I think it's important to keep in mind that I think it's easy to instantly go straight to, you know, studying the greats or the people that are top of your industry in a content sense and copying exactly what they're doing. I think it's important that you take the learnings, but you don't want to be just a copycat. I think the people that are truly popping off at the moment, especially in your industry, I think of people like like Eddie Abbey, for example. And the reason is because they're so authentic, they're so unique, they're so individual that you want to follow them. You don't want to follow the same person over and over and over again in your feed, right? I think when you're building out your content strategy, make sure you lean into your specific personality and your specific strengths. And don't just be a copycat of what other people are doing, I think.
Because otherwise you're basically competing with them, and let's be honest, they'll probably do it better than you, right? Like in our space, in our business space, like Simon does have the authority, but even still, like there's a lot of people even more successful than him, right? But I would say he could get away with that. But especially someone a bit lower down, like say us, we have some experience in content and business. But if we start doing like trying to be gurus and lecture content, we're competing with all the other people who have done a lot more than us, right? And we might build an audience, but in reality, these guys are doing a lot better than us. But if we're more authentic to ourselves in maybe sharing our journey, young guys doing it a different way, all of this stuff, while like using all those fundamentals, then you're going to access that different audience and it's going to be authentic to you. You're not going to be directly competing with anyone, right? You kind of want to be avoiding that.
Yeah. For this section, we just wanted to go over some fundamentals. Content is always specific to the person, so we're going to open up for a Q&A afterwards. So if you have any specific questions for your own strategy, you'll be able to ask them at the end. So yeah.
So hacks, something we do get asked quite a lot, and it makes a lot of sense. But like, what are the hacks to kind of go viral? And everything we've said so far, to be honest, that is the fundamental. But there are a few things you can do, but there's a lot of things that people think they should do that you definitely shouldn't do, right? So things like hashtags and trending sounds. For some reason, there's this like echo chamber on TikTok of people that think that if you use the right sound or the right hashtags and all of this, you're going to go viral. And those videos do well just because there's loads of people that want to go viral, not because they're actually using the hashtag or using the sound that makes them go viral, right? Now, of course, hashtags and sounds have a place. Hashtags help the platforms kind of silo your video a little bit. Also, like TikTok is kind of optimizes for search sometimes. So if people are searching a keyword, then it will come up. But that's kind of the main purpose. Hashtags aren't going to make or break your strategy. You could never use a hashtag and still be more successful than any other content creator if you got it right. And sounds obviously is more just for ambience. Like we've just kind of in the last few months adding more sounds into our interview content, and it's more just to bring out the emotion of the video. So if it's a really emotional story, we'll add an emotional sound, not because it's trending, but because it makes the person feel it more. So don't worry about that for growth, but they do obviously have their purpose. Newsjacking is something that, when done right, can be really powerful. So some of you guys may have seen, but in August of last year, Simon was listening to the news and he heard that there's this staircase for sale in London. He knew that it was in the news already, so some people would be interested in it. And also, we currently don't have like an office or a physical place. We have a load of creative ideas. So he was like, let's just go for it. So the very next day, we went to this auction. We bid 25 grand for this staircase, and we ended up winning it. It's all on YouTube if you guys wanted to check it out. Literally 30 seconds after we won this auction, Simon went to sign documents and stuff, and then I had New York Times and BBC come over to me, and then we made the news for buying this staircase, and then all the other like news outlets followed suit. I think in 2 weeks we were in like 20 different news outlets. So the kind of like psychology again behind that is like, firstly, it was already in the news, so it was quite easy to guess that it would be in the news again. But regardless, like if you're doing something big enough, a lot of the time you're then going to attract press and stuff like that, which is obviously great for growth. But then obviously we allowed us to then create content around us being in the news. What you guys can do, say if you're just starting out, if you have any crazy ideas, like I'm sure some of you guys know Hardest Geezer, the guy that's running the length of Africa right now. His purpose is so big and what he's doing is so big that it is then all of the news, right? So that is something to bear in mind. But I'm not necessarily suggesting you try and make the news, but what you can do is look in the news, or say look on Instagram, what people are talking about, what's going viral at the minute that is authentic to you, say within the fitness space. Like I was talking to Callum earlier, maybe an example is the government have passed some absolute bullshit bill around like the food that kids should eat, and you categorically disagree with that. You can then jump on that, do a piece of content around that. There's probably a lot more likely to go viral because people are talking about it, people are interested in it, and it's very authentic to you. So that's something that I recommend quite a lot. Like when it's authentic to you, look out for these trending things, or also people that are going viral. I've recently just started really casually doing some personal content, like almost Sam Sulek model, just filming my morning routines because I don't have that much time, and putting some clips on TikTok. I've only been doing it 2 weeks, but I had one video that hit 100K views, and that was the one where I'm talking about creators that get content right, which is authentic to me. But I was talking about this guy out in Thailand who does content, and I was saying why I think he gets it right. That video then got 100,000 views because a lot of people like him and they know about him, and also he's a polarizing character. So everyone was arguing in my comments about whether this guy is good or bad. Now, the nuance here is you don't want to build your whole strategy off that. You don't want to be the kind of person that's newsjacking all the time, that's just playing up to the trends and all of that. You want to be, like Callum said, authentic to you, and all of this. But when you see something or someone who is getting eyeballs and it relates to your mission, your purpose, and the people you want to talk to, just look out for it and talk on it in whatever way is authentic to you, because it's going to help you get some growth. And then from those 100,000 views, a lot of people obviously left, but then some of those then followed me and liked my sort of style, if you like. So it's worth doing every once in a while. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it in terms of hacks. There's not really any, just be authentic to you, but don't abuse it. Make sure you're authentic over everything else. And so, yeah, I guess kind of Callum's gone through all these fundamentals for posting content, posting everywhere, all the platforms. But I just wanted to emphasize, make sure you're posting a lot and being consistent. Content is a long game. It's not like paid advertising where you're going to get direct ROAS like every single time, and then that proves that you should keep on doing it. This is very much more branding exercise that the longer you do it, the bigger you get, the more you reap the rewards. So if you don't get loads of followers or loads of views straight away, and you're enjoying it and you kind of find a rhythm you like, just keep doing it, keep at it, because I promise you in like 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to be so glad, right? Like Robert Greene talks about how reputation is everything we have. If you build content in the right way, you're going to be so grateful that you've done it, and you're going to get access to customers and network and respect and all the stuff that you otherwise probably wouldn't have had. All right, so by this point, if you've been creating content for a while, you're enjoying it, and you've kind of taken all of this advice, you're going to start building an audience. Followers, very much, to be honest, are a bit of a vanity metric, because generally how the algorithms work, if your content isn't good, even if you've got loads of followers, like people aren't going to see it. But it is obviously good to build your followers. But if you're consistently getting views, you've kind of got an audience. Then you want to make sure that you're making the most out of it, right? You want to, coming back to the title of our presentation, you want to make sure you're monetizing it, and you want to make sure you're using all of this ecosystem you've built to then grow your business. So a couple of points on this. First one is build a funnel. Kind of sounds complex, but it's actually not at all. You basically just want a smooth way from people to be able to go from a viewer of your content to a customer of yours, right? So the way that I recommend is you create your content, and then in your bio you have say a link tree or something like that. And then if I was a fitness coach, I probably would have 2 things in my bio. You don't want to have loads, because then people are going to get confused and maybe bounce and go back off the page because they're not 100% sure where to go. But if you've got 2 things, like say apply for one-on-one coaching with me, and that's type form, and then the second one is a lead magnet. So basically something that gets people's email, so then you can then build an email list that you own, right? So a couple of things here. Building an email list might seem kind of old-fashioned, but at the end of the day, if you get banned or if the platforms go down or anything like that, you don't actually own those followers or anything like that. And like I said, if you're making bad content, your content is not going to get served to their feed. With emails, unless you're spamming your users on your list, which obviously you shouldn't do, these are going to get delivered to their inbox. And this email list can't really be taken away from you, right? So you really do want to optimize your strategy for building this list over time. And again, it's going to really help you long term once you've built up a list of 100, 200, 1,000, 10,000 people. Because say you're launching a new course or you've got a new coaching offering or something like that, yes, you can put it on your story, but if you've fallen off, 100 people might see, or if you haven't grown your audience yet. But if you've got, a couple hundred or a couple of thousand people on your list, those people are going to then see the email, and they're going to potentially buy your offer. And for us, it's one of the most valuable parts of our HelpBank ecosystem is the 120,000 users that we have the emails of, that we can then target, tell them about new things that are coming, and tell them about our partners, for example. So just quickly wrapping up on that and coming back to the lead magnet, in order to get someone's email in your bio, you can straight up just say like, join my email list and I'll share tips. Give them a reason, right? So sharing like my best tips on my email list is the most simple one, and that's completely fine. A lot of marketers would like argue against that. I actually think it's fine, and your most loyal followers will join. maybe a slightly better way is to have some type of lead magnet. Now, that's basically something that people get for free in exchange for giving you their email address, right? So people have become smart to this. You've got to give them something actually valuable, but it's going to pay off for you a lot very quickly, because if people are getting value from something, one, they're going to be more likely to spend with you quicker, and two, if it is valuable and they like it, then they're going to be very happy they subscribe to your list, and they're not going to unsubscribe, right? So in the fitness space, typically a lot of people use my calorie counter, for example, to work out your height and weight and to what calories you should be on to gain or lose or whatever. That's one. Or you could say like my free 30-day weight loss program, whatever it is, just something free, packaged up nicely, that's genuinely valuable. Have that in there for people to go through. This marketer, Ty Lopez, has a personality test, which is pretty valuable, but then he's got your email and your phone number out of it. So just bear that in mind. So I guess just to summarize really quickly, from all your social pages, have a link in bio, and then have maybe your core offering and a lead magnet, or just one way for them to sign up to your email list so you can convert them into an audience that you own, if you like. And then from here, you've now got a following and you've got an email list. You just want to keep engaging your audience. So this is fairly simple. Send regular emails to your email list. Give them some deeper insights into what it is you're doing. Make them feel a bit special to be a part of it. Make them actually valuable. Again, like, people will unsubscribe or not open the emails if they continue opening things that you hate, but nice insights, exclusive things. This works really well to an email list. It doesn't have to be a long email. It can be fairly short. Once a week, twice a week, as much as you're comfortable with. If it's valuable, there's no right or wrong amount. Keep them engaged. And then from here, something I just wanted to touch on really quick was the idea of building a community. So you can then, whether it's on a Facebook group or Discord or even a WhatsApp group or something like that, or in-person events, the most valuable people within your audience are going to be the people that have felt like they've got the value from you. So even if they've never spent with you, right? If they've got value from your lead magnet and you're inviting them to an event, or you invite them to a community you have that you're putting on some free classes in, or sharing some expert secrets, they're then going to really root for you, and they're also going to be more likely to buy from you, right? You guys might have heard of the 1,000 fans concept. You need 1,000 fans to make enough money to live forever, right? Now, like, in my opinion, the best way to do this is just really make the most of your audience and individually engage with them more, whether it's reply to comments, building a community, inviting them to events, providing them with value. If these people feel like they owe something to you because of how much free value you've given them, they're then going to be more likely to buy from you. So that's pretty much the whole start to finish of making your first video, building an audience, all the way down to converting them into an email list, which you can then pitch your offer to them through email or through clicking via your link in bio. So that's the whole ecosystem. I just wanted to quickly touch on monetization on content specifically. So the main way for you guys that are selling some type of product or service to make money from content is always going to be your actual business, right? Like, all these thousands, 100,000, millions of people watching your videos, they are potential customers, and it is huge, right? When you're building an audience that align with your offering, it's free marketing forever, and that's always going to be the main way you're going to make money from content, right? It's brilliant. But there are a few other ways that you can make money from content that makes making this content over time worthwhile. First one is affiliate income. This mainly becomes valuable as you grow, because say you are in the gym and you train with a certain gym strap or something like that. Linking that in your YouTube channel or in your videos to an Amazon link that's tracked to you, that can make you some money. Or to make the most money from this type of thing, if your friend has a high ticket offer, a couple of £1,000 for a really bespoke thing, and then you share that offer through your email list and through your stories, and you take a 20-30% cut with them, that's probably the main way to make significant affiliate income quickly. Because obviously, say if you're taking a cut on an Amazon sale, it's going to take a long time to make decent money. But I would imagine, like, you guys in this room that sell different things to each other, you could probably leverage each other's audiences and have an affiliate deal with each other, which is pretty valuable. And then the second one is AdSense. So all the platforms in their own way pay a little bit to creators. On short form, historically, it was always quite small, but TikTok recently has started paying pretty well. So on average, once you get, I believe it's 10,000 followers, you're going to be eligible for their creativity program, and you make £1 per 1,000 views on average. It can fluctuate. but that's actually quite a lot, especially once you're putting out consistent content. From Simon's brand, we're making like 5,000 to 10,000 a month from posting content, and we could be posting more content as well. So it does become quite lucrative. And the famous one is obviously YouTube. We all know that YouTubers make a decent amount of money. So again, like once you're doing that consistently over time, that's going to be really helpful for you. And then the final one is sponsors. This is the biggest one for us by far, particularly as I mentioned, as we don't sell directly to the people that watch our content. Once you build an audience that is of a decent size, or you have a pretty good niche and is a smaller size, a lot of brands, both big and small, are going to be interested in paying you to advertise their product to your audience. So again, just in the fitness industry, it could be accessories, could be a specific gym. They want more people to train out, whatever it is. You doing work for these brands, as long as it aligns with you, can be quite lucrative and make quite a lot of money. And it's definitely something I'd recommend that you guys look into as you start to build your audience. The way to actually reach these brands, as you grow your audience, one, if you have like an email in your bio or for something like that, brands will come to you. But how we actually got most of our brand deals to start with is I'd spend like half an hour a day on LinkedIn just connecting with like the partnership managers, the CMOs, the marketing managers of brands that we like, brands that we want to work with. So for us, like, we help people with business for free, but we don't provide tools right now, okay? So we wanted to find the best entrepreneurial brands, like the ones I mentioned, who provide like a valuable tool to entrepreneurs to partner with. They also have a lot of money that they can pay to sponsor us, right? So I went on LinkedIn and I connected with people high up from all of these brands, 20, 30 people a day, and said our purpose and also our numbers, right? So we've reached millions of people, helping people start a business for free. Like, we should team up. More or less, that's kind of what I did. And if you're sending 20, 30 a day, you're going to have one or two connect every couple of days, which will then help you get on calls and then kind of negotiate a deal with them, right? Like, you might want to have someone else doing this as you're building your own business, or do it quite casually to start with. And like I mentioned, as you scale, you will have people come to you. But it is something that brands are really seeing, particularly with the growth of influencers, the growth of all these social media platforms. They do see the value in your audience. So definitely something to look out for sure. I guess just to emphasize really quickly as well, bringing it all back to like purpose, the why are you creating your content? We found for us working with brands, that's actually been a bit of a superpower. Like, even when we didn't have numbers, right? So when we started working with Simon, he wasn't big at all on social, but because we had this really strong purpose, we had a few brands like GoDaddy believe in us that then wanted to sponsor us. So if you guys have a strong purpose, reason why what you're doing, even if you haven't got the numbers yet, and you talk to a brand and say, I'm talking to people to help them learn the truth about nutrition, for example, and fix the problems in society around what people eat, whatever. That will also help you get brands on board, as well as the actual numbers. So that's my take on monetization, and that's pretty much it. So interested to hear more about what you guys businesses are, what your content strategies are, and how we can help you build it out as well. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Really, really, really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, should we go more specific then? And if anyone has any specific questions, be as selfish as you so wish. This is your moment to do so.
Right, mate. So you spoke at the beginning about finding your format or something that worked. Okay, so you find that. How often do you rinse and repeat it? As in, the street thing worked. Is all of your posts the street thing, or do you like divert and come back? Like, if you rinse and repeat it, does it lose its value and then they're going to lose its audience?
Mm-hmm. I think, well, we're posting that every day. I mean, we're posting twice a day every day now. So I think, use it every day. I think use it as your lead content. We do post other content alongside it, testing other small things. Maybe we have like an update video, or we want to inform our audience about something. So sometimes we'll throw like a talking head out there just to inform the audience. But that is our lead content, if you like.
Yeah, I think there's no exact answer to this, to be honest. You want to be making sure you're enjoying it and making sure that, like, you should, over like a long period of time, you should still be growing, right? So you might have an off week, but if like over a month or a couple of months across all platforms, things are going down, like maybe start experimenting a bit more. I think overall, like, content has to be somewhat of a priority to you to make sure that you keep doing it right and you keep growing. But overall, my advice would be just keep trying some new things on the side, but focus mainly on your formula once you find it. And then if things do start slowing down, you can maybe then optimize for more experimentation. But there's not really like a right or wrong answer. You kind of just got to flow with it. To be honest, we thought that the street formula with Simon would kind of die or get old quite quick. I think it was a few months in, we were like, what's the next formula? What's the next formula? And we have a few other things that work, Simon on podcasts, or sometimes we get people to do challenges or different types of things. But overall, just from the natural kind of growth and improvements we have, plus the amount that people seem to enjoy it's been a year and a half now and posting this stuff every day. So if you're liking it, the audience are liking it, just keep doing it.
Well, so on your street stuff, how much time you put into actually filming it, editing it, like what's the investment? And cost actually, like investment money-wise, investment time-wise.
Yeah. So one thing to note is like we've obviously scaled it up. Like now we have a couple of film people, a couple of editors, Simon being the talent, and a social media manager to post it, right? But if you're so for us, like there's a semi-significant cost to do it, but of course, like both from sponsors, from the reach, like it makes complete sense. The margins are still way more than most businesses for us, like probably 95%, like to create a piece of content. But if you just say you guys wanted to start doing street content, all you really need is like one of these mics. You could hold it or just have on you. I'm pretty sure this is like 30 quid on Amazon. You just plug it into your phone and a phone. You could even have a stick and like clip this onto a stick and then film it on your phone like that.
Just connected Bluetooth.
It's connected Bluetooth to my plug into my phone. Yeah, wirelessly. Yeah. It's not even that good to be honest, but like I'm not a content creator, but I'm just starting to do some subtle content. This is easy because then after this I can go home. I'm not even an editor, right? Callum's an editor, so I can just use CapCut, and it'll then switch between us when one of us talks, and I can add captions on it, clip it, and throw it up, right? And I'm just testing, right? My content isn't the best thing you'll ever see, but I'm like I said, 2 weeks in, just playing around with like what's authentic to me to find my formula. But if you're doing this in the street, one of these, a phone, somebody else with you, and then just like in 10 minutes you can interview probably 10 people. Like stupid thing just came to my mind, but you could ask someone like, "Why are you so fat?" And then
That's a good hook.
it will blow up.
That's a good hook.
Be controversial. Maybe a better one would be someone that's in shape, like why do you look so amazing? It's not quite as strong.
Not the best brand look.
Slightly less controversial. Figuratively though, right? Like you could go into the street with a really strong hook now, just a phone and just a very cheap microphone. You could do 10 clips in a minute, as controversial or as least controversial as you want, and then go into CapCut yourself, which is just like an editing app, right? There's loads you can use. Put the content in, and then just cut each interview together and add some captions on it and upload it, and that cost would be minimal. If your friend's doing it with you and you're doing it, the only cost really you have is your time. So
just on the subject of that,
yeah.
I purchased these off a whim in a meeting in Dubai last week. I've already got Rode mics, so Rode is very much sufficient, but these are the new DJI or JI, whatever.
Dan's favourite toy.
Yeah, I haven't even come out of the box, but yeah, they're cool. But I thought about this because again, it goes back to the authenticity of Simon's content, and being scripted wasn't aligned with what he's about. So why would you try and double down on that? Because he's never going to really enjoy it. So with these, I purchased these because I know I'm going to be having meetings with people in Dubai, pretty powerful people, and Dubai is a lot more receptive to say, I'm going to get a mic out. Do you mind if we just go through a few quick questions before we close? And my team will chop it up. We can throw it on both our social channels. Yeah, of course. Why not? I get good content from it. It's a great conversation. So again, it's just identifying what you do on a day-to-day, identifying whether something can work for you, and then doubling down on it and seeing if you get good traction from it. So
100%.
that was the rationale behind the purchase.
Yeah.
Another one. So what do you create your email list?
Yep.
How do you nurture the email list?
Yeah.
And what do you do? So I for context, I created a page in September.
Yep.
Email list is about 100 people now.
Nice.
I see subscribers fluctuate, sometimes comes up, sometimes goes down, depending. And I am, I guess, struggling to add value to these people. If they already follow me on socials and stuff, what can I offer these people week in, week out kind of thing?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. So, are you currently sending emails to the list or not?
Yeah, just once a week I send a list on like 8 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It just has kind of anything that's interesting in the news that surrounds that demographic. I include a small section of my blog, and then you have to read more.
Nice.
And then anything else that I come out with. Like, but is there anything else?
Yeah. And are you currently doing social posts?
Yeah.
If so, in like 30 seconds, what are the social posts?
Just educational videos. I haven't monetized. So I started the page in September. It's now on about 2K followers.
Nice. That's good.
Like, I haven't tried to take a penny.
Fitness education. Yeah. Okay.
But like middle to late adulthood. Yeah. So 45 plus.
Okay. So the most simple way to do written content, you could, if you want, you can also use the same strategy for LinkedIn. But more importantly, your email list is look at the content you're already doing, video wise, as you will most will likely be doing that before you start sending emails to a list, and then just convert that into written content, because it's a different method, right? A lot of people won't have seen your videos, and also it's slightly different in a written context. So 2 suggestions here. Number 1, the advice videos you're doing on video already, write out like what you're saying in text, and then just kind of optimize it for being read. So make the language really simple, make the lines quite short with a space in the middle so people can kind of skim read it. And then obviously you'll just need a good subject line about that sort of thing that you're teaching. But simply just changing format of a piece of content is more than suffice. So that would be my first piece of advice.
Yeah, just on that same point, before you go to the second one,
yeah,
you could do, and I love that, the fact you see what's working for you on social, double down on that specific subject.
Yeah.
I just typed into ChatGPT, so one of Jake's businesses is centered around the older population.
Yeah.
And write me an email to the older population on why strength training is important and the importance of strength training for older adult subjects. And it literally gives you a whole email.
Yes.
I'm not saying that needs to be then sent, but that could get you 80% there. And
yeah.
Then you can modify it as well.
Yeah. So really good point actually. So typing up your content and then sending that out it is fine. There are tools like Descript you can use where you can just put your video into it and it will transcribe it for you, and then you can send it out. That's one way. But what Dan just said about ChatGPT, I think is really good advice. I would advise away from giving generic ChatGPT advice to your audience, but what you can do is tell ChatGPT more about you, your niche, things you believe, stuff like this, and then tell it to make a post around it. You could even transcribe the post that we're talking about here from social, put that transcription into ChatGPT and say, this is a social post I did, write me an email to my list around this same sort of subject. And then it will then do it for you, be new content, but at least it will know more about you. I think my thing with AI, like as a copywriter myself, it's kind of what I started off as. Like I like it, but the most important thing is prompting it and making it learn about you and what you believe and all of this stuff. So then you can then get personalized AI results based on who you are and what you believe in, rather than just the same stuff that it would give everyone. So yeah, great point on that, Dan. Like leveraging AI is good. Leveraging your existing content is good. And the second thing I was just going to say is, like touching on what I said earlier, is the content that you already create, just going a little bit deeper with your email list. So be like, you might have seen this post where I spoke about this and this. This is like something else that I've been thinking that is actually really important. And by the way, here's a podcast I really like that talks about this. Just going a little bit deeper on it, so they feel special for being part of it, and they're like, wow, I really do get extra value for being part of this newsletter, this email list. So it's just an extra way to go. But I'd keep doing the emails you're already doing, but maybe add in the other stuff as well.
What platform do you use? What to do my emails? Yeah. So I just use my website, which is Wix, and then that has a email.
That has one.
It's really cheap as well.
Yeah.
The whole thing. I can't even remember what I paid, like £100 a year. This website does automations for you. I think I might pay maybe another £100 for the emails, and you're allowed to send 500 a month. So until your email list gets to that size, it's fine.
Yeah. For email marketing as a beginner, if your site provider offers it, fine. The other platform for straight up beginners, I suggest MailChimp as well. That's what I personally use. For HelpBank, we use something else for hundreds of thousands of users. But I've got, I think, 46 people on my personal email list right now, just starting out. And yeah, I think MailChimp's, they have a free plan, I just went for the £10 a month plan because then I could remove their logo and it still looks professional. So MailChimp's also a good place to start.
Do you have to integrate it to anything, or you just literally log in with your email?
No, just log in with your email. You can connect your personal email up with it as well. Yeah.
Another thought on someone like Jay specifically is sharing client wins. So if you've got, as you said, north of 100 people on the email list, well, actually, if you can convert 10% of those, then that can change your business.
Yeah.
And it could be weekly reflection. Guys, was talking to my awesome client Jane, who recently has had X, and she's improved on this. Here's a couple of things that we did with her.
Yeah.
The journey's been incredible. And always make her the hero, not you.
Yeah.
And that's really key. And then just they might resonate with that, and then be a little bit more intrigued in terms of the offering that you have.
Yeah, and again, back to front, this could also be social content, right? Whether it's a reel or just a story post. If it's a good piece of content somewhere, it's probably a good piece of content elsewhere. So you could probably then just do a video talking to camera about your client win. Another easy just piece of cross-pollination, same piece of content, different format.
Just on the social media side of different networks.
Yeah.
You just mentioned about the 5 top networks.
Yeah.
I currently only post on Instagram.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best step in terms of just repurposing the post? Just literally copy and paste it every single channel potentially.
Yeah. So there's if the only way you've got like your post, say you edited it in Instagram, that you can use a site for TikTok, the Snaptic. I think they have a similar one for Instagram. You can use a site to download it without a watermark. If you're creating it live and you're editing it in an app, then just save it before you post it in while you're editing it. Or if you're editing in something like CapCut, obviously you'll have the saved version anyway. What I do personally, again, like the lazy version, which maybe is a bit more like applicable, like just saying for Simon, obviously we edit in Premiere Pro, which is like an Adobe software, and then that clip we put into each platform, and then we do the title, the on-screen captions uniquely in every platform because it's good to use their tools a little bit. But as like the super simplistic version, I just have my videos in CapCut. I then put it into TikTok and add some background sound and an on-screen caption, and then I just save that. And then that's the one I then put on all the other platforms because then I don't have to go in and add the on-screen caption and music to everyone. That might slightly harm your reach on their platforms because you're not using their on-screen titles, but I haven't seen too much of a negative from it. So it just depends what you want to optimize for. But simplest way, like I said, just save it either before or after and put it on all the platforms. And don't underestimate them as well. Like Snapchat, I honestly haven't used it for years, but so many kids still use it. And it's really, really valuable. And I found their algorithm is like TikTok's pretty decent. They'll show each video as long as it gets approved onto their spotlight thing to an average of a couple hundred people. So it's quite a nice one to start out on.
And then with you specifically, you started your email list.
Yep.
I assume that is with the intent of at some point monetizing that and owning that.
Yep.
And with 46 current subscribers, what kind of position and level do you get to and you think, well, I'm going to bring out a product, I've offered enough value to by now 200, 400? Do you have I know that you just started, but do you have a kind of target in mind where you think, right, I'm going to start pumping something out?
Yeah, so I do, and again, my take is slightly different on this, but remember, like HelpBank is my main business, right? So a lot of what I do, if I can get big enough, will be to then feed HelpBank and the other stuff that we're doing as an ecosystem. So I'll just be directing people there. It would actually be a distraction for me to bring out my own product. Like we have our own business, right? And also like I do very much align with obviously the company's mission of not charging for help. So again, there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not going to start like a course or anything like that, because that would be contrary to what our platform does. So I've already started sending people there, telling people about what we're doing. It's never too soon to do that. If you have a product and it's good, then you can start talking about it no matter how big your list is. But in terms of monetizing it, the other 3 ways that I said on the last slide, for no reason other than to set things in motion, I recommended, what was it the other day? I recommended a book on Amazon. I think it was one of the Robert Greene books, Laws of Human Nature. And just for best practice, I went and made an Amazon affiliate account, and then I put an affiliate link into my email. Now, I think one person clicked it. I doubt anyone bought it, and even if they did, it wouldn't have made me much money. But I'm quite big on like setting up best practices early, because then it's hard later to do it. That's why I set my email list up even just before I was going to start doing content, because if you get those wheels in motion early, it's then easy to scale, and you're going to not miss out on any gains. So to start selling your product right away, I'd set up for affiliates right away. like I said earlier, maybe doing those deals between you right away. And then finally, in terms of sponsorship, I would probably wait until in my niche I was getting at least like, there's not actually a right figure to be honest, but if in terms of outreaching to brands, I would probably wait until I've got some sort of consistent viewership on my channel, or I'd wait for them to come for me. Like I said, for me, it's not my priority. I just want to make sure I'm doing it.
Okay, on the flip of that, looking at HelpBank, if a brand came to you and said, "We want to be a part," and you looked at their channel,
yeah,
what kind of number would you be like? Oh yeah, I'd come aboard. Like we want to, have you as a part of the brand because you're getting 10,000 views consistency or 100,000.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna position myself away for HelpBank more to like say a fitness brand, just because I think it'll be a little more valuable, especially if you've got a niche, which is fitness. I think even if you only have a few thousand followers and a few thousand views a month, because you have followers in a niche, a lot of the time they'll be able to advertise with you cheaper than they'd be able to advertise on paid ads. So again, there's not really any low number. Like obviously, if you're getting 0 views, no one's gonna advertise with you. But if you've got a niche and it's clear, and these brands can talk to that niche if they already sell to them via your audience, you're only going to need a few thousand followers and maybe 10, 20, 30,000 views a month for it to make sense to them. Even if they're just a small brand and they're only paying you £100 a month, that £100 would be better spent than them putting £100 into Facebook ads. So there really is no right or wrong answer. Like I said, I would just come back to like best practices. Set these wheels in motion early. Build an email list early. Start doing content early to all platforms. Otherwise, you're going to be like, oh, when's the right time? Just start doing it all kind of right away, and then it's easier to scale.
Just on the subject of that as well, James managed to get, I think it was HealthSpan, paid to be on his email list. Small amount, but proof of concept. He's one of our mentees. He couldn't be here today, and company, legitimate company as well, are paying a small amount because they saw that he was very niche in terms of working with nutritionists.
Yeah.
They have a product that if they get 50 nutritionists with their product, that then opens up. If each nutritionist has 100 people or 100 clients on their ecosystem, boom, it just opens up the floodgates.
100%. And you could also do it for free to start with. You could do it telling them or not telling them, recommend something, and then have a few people click on it. And like it's just a case study. There is quite a lot of value in just having a case study. So like when you work with brands, they're going to ask what other brands you've worked with. So I'd probably work with a couple, even if it's just small brands for free. This kind of works across the board. Even years ago when I started working with Dan Lawrence, I sent him an email with a free email I'd written for his list, right? Like,
how it started?
That is how it started, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, provide value first, show you how some case studies, and yeah, go looking for it.
Awesome. Brilliant, guys. Awesome presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Can we get photos?
Yeah, sure.
That's class. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers, man.
That's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started, yeah.
Slid in the DM.
That's it. Email, yeah.
Email. Legend voice.
Sweet.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Can I ask a question about two questions?
Go for it.
Sorry, Dan.
All good.
One question would be on time. And
Yes, fine,
is the time, and